difference is quite high.
Sure.
So PPF is today offering roughly 7% interest today.
That's my understanding.
Right? Versus if you look at any large cap equity mutual fund, that is offering roughly in tune of 12% to 14%. Right. So Warren Buffett is one of the best example as a greatest investment in the world.
Right.
And Warren Buffett follow two rules, which I admire and which I always follow. The two rules which he follow. The rule number one is says he never lose money.
Right.
So that is rule number one. Warren Buffett follow. Rule number two is never forget rule number one.
Namaste. Let me start with famous quote by Warren Buffett. Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. With this quote, I'm sure you all must have got a cue for today's topic of sharing learning. That's right. Today we are going to talk about investment management. Please welcome Shri Hemant Powale, founder and director, Primevista Investments Pvt Ltd, to our podcast today to share expert views on investments and wealth management. With over 25 years of experience in wealth management, Hemantji founded Primevista Investments Pvt Ltd in 2000 with a vision to empower individuals to achieve their financial goals. From a one-man mission, Primevista has evolved into a team of 20 seasoned professionals serving a diverse clientele from young professionals to NRIs across the financial spectrum. Whether you're planning for retirement, investing for growth, or seeking tax-saving opportunities, team of Primevista Investments Pvt Ltd brings expertise and dedication to the table. For our audience, possibly in a layman's language, maybe I'll want to ask, what is the concept of investment?
Okay, so concept of investing is very simple. One person earns some money, like a salary is there, or business income is there. And out of that, whatever income the person earns, some money goes into mandatory expenses and some money is left out of it, which is called as savings. And that gets converted into investing.
Right. So I think there is a linked question then. What is the difference between saving and investment?
Okay. Savings is, as I said, it is the amount left after the mandatory expenses one person have. Savings means you are just keeping the money aside.
Right.
It is not growing, or it is not growing like how the investment will grow.
Right.
Investments means appreciation. Investments means growth. So your money lying into savings, you move into an investment which appreciates.
Right.
So that's the difference between savings and investing.
What are the kind of best investments?
So there are various kinds of investments. So let us not first get into the best investment, but understand what kind of investments we have.
Right.
So we have in India, generally people invest into safer investments like fixed deposits, savings account, PPF, and all those government schemes where clients, investors are assured that the capital is safe and there's some interest paying guaranteed.
Right.
So that is the first part of investment. So we call it debt investments or a fixed income investment.
Right.
The second avenue of investments are investments where really you see the returns coming up, which are little higher risk investments like equity mutual funds, stock market, shares, PMS or AIF.
Right.
That's another category where the returns are higher than the traditional investments which we do, but the risk are also involved in that.
Right.
The third category of investment comes into physical assets.
Right.
So people in India do tend to invest into gold.
Yeah.
They consider gold as an investment.
Right.
Then another investment is looked at as in real estate is an investment. People invested into plots, lands, additional house to earn the rental income.
Right.
So there are three kind of investments which are available in India.
Right.
It all depends on the need of the person or the time for duration of the investment one person have.
Right.
Accordingly, that placement of investment can be done. So there's no exactly an answer for which is best investments. So each investment have its own qualities which suits the requirement of the client.
So where does SIP fit into these three broader categories which you mentioned?
So SIP, the full form of SIP is systematic investment plan.
Right.
So it is not an investment as such.
Right.
The primarily underlying investment is mutual funds.
Right.
So when you invest into mutual funds, there's one, you can do a lump sum investment,
Right.
The other way is to do a monthly systematic investment that is called as SIP.
Right.
So it is like recurring deposit.
Sure.
Like you start a recurring deposit in the bank, you put monthly X amount.
Right.
Likewise, you want to invest in a mutual fund,
Right.
you go through SIP way. So like every month you keep investing
Right.
into mutual funds. For
Right.
that.
Right.
So this is what SIP is.
Okay. So you mention it maybe very briefly, but I think conventionally in India, gold has been considered as one of the investment. So I had preferred possibly some websites, and somehow I did not see in the top 10 categories or top 10 investment types, gold was not listed anywhere. So do you have some views on that?
Definitely. I'll talk a little bit about the history. If you look at the history, let
Yeah.
us get into the history.
Right.
Why there's an importance of gold.
Right.
So when I read into the ancient history, I can figure out that gold was considered as a hedge. Hedge against, today it is called as hedge against inflation.
Right.
But in those days, it is being treated as a last security option.
Right.
So in those days, people used to keep gold, digged somewhere, hidden somewhere in the house.
Right.
And in those days, if somebody comes and rob the entire house, that robber will not get that gold where it is
Right.
being kept,
Right.
and the family will take out that gold and then start the life again.
Sure.
So gold have really an important asset played
Right.
since ages in India. But in recent times now, people consider it as an investment avenue.
Okay.
So this metal is now treated as an investment.
Right.
If you ask me personally, there's some emotional connect to it,
Right. Right.
right? So I personally do not consider it as an investment. Gold is something you need to buy, you own it, you wear it, and you enjoy it,
Right.
and then you pass it on to the next generation.
Absolutely.
So the growth or appreciation into gold is a big question mark.
Right.
I had never seen somebody buying gold at say 100 rupees price, for example, and selling at 150 and telling me that I had sold gold at 50 rupees higher price and I made profits.
Right. Right.
So gold actually doesn't fit into the top 10 investment. That's the reason.
Right.
Another important point, if you see the appreciation in the gold for last 20 years time, roughly the growth rate is 7 to 8%
Okay.
per year.
Okay.
The returns generated by gold as an investment,
Right.
the average returns are 7 to 8% in last 20 years time.
Right.
So which is just near to your fixed deposits rate
Sure.
or near to inflation.
Right. Right.
So gold, that's the reason why the gold doesn't come into
Okay.
the best of the investment, top
Right.
best.
So, in your view, it may not be a good way of diversification.
Yes, so diversification is required, so it will fit into a diversification.
Okay.
But the percentage should not be more than 10 to 15%
Sure. Okay.
in the entire asset
Okay.
allocation one investment person have.
Right.
Having 10-15% gold is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So I think the basic questions which person will have is, when should someone invest and how much? Typically, because I personally feel today the generation, they will want to spend. I think that's how it is. So I think for the young generation, I personally feel there should be a guidance on, because if I look at IT kind of crowd, I think the salaries are good. I would say they're fat salaries, right? So they start earning quite a lot. I personally feel if they start investing early, I think it will lead to a good life for them. Possibly if they want to retire early or something. So I think those are the questions I had in mind. Maybe you want to answer those.
Definitely. So when it comes to investment, I was just talking to one client 2 days back when he came, and then we were discussing on the same question. And I told him that the best time to start investing is the day you born. So your parents can do an investment in your name as a child, and that investment starts, and that compounds.
Right.
The second best time to start investing is the day you earn.
Right.
Your first salary checks. The first salary check, at least 30 to 40% of money has to go as in compulsory savings.
Right.
So that's the second best time. So starting early is very important. That plays a major role in compounding and growing the wealth.
Right.
And you mentioned about IT as a sector.
Yeah.
like you and definitely the salaries are fantastic, and a person starts in career in IT.
Right.
And yeah, but I believe that one should plan the career span of not more than 20 years in an IT. Once if somebody is starting at the age of 25,
Sure.
maybe should not think of working more than 20 years than an IT, or at least prepare a financial plan or retirement plan and have some money saved in 20 years, first 20 years of time.
Right.
That will help, because I believe it's a quite stressful
Yes.
sector,
Yes.
and there's a lot of competition, and new technology keeps coming.
Right.
Your whatever knowledge you gained 20 years back may get outdated.
Sure.
So there's a risk of losing job also.
Right. Right.
Right. So definitely for IT industry people, I will suggest to start from the first salary check.
Yeah. Yeah.
The investment to be started on the first salary check.
Yeah. So I have many of my colleagues, in fact, I had many of my team members who always kept mentioning that, we want to retire at age of 40, right? So I think it's a question from their perspective that at what age they need to start and the percentage of income. If 40 is the benchmark there.
Yeah, yeah. So we mentioned, we spoke about having the salaries are very good,
Yeah.
and this young generation have less of dependence on them.
Right.
Hardly there's any dependent.
Right.
Right. So I should, the one should definitely look at investing at least 50% of the salary,
Okay.
and that money has to get into investments.
Right.
They have to make sure that that money is growing. They are not investing into traditional investment like fixed deposits or
Right.
PPA for all those investments. They should definitely look for investing that money into appreciating assets like
Right.
equities or some other asset classes. We'll discuss in coming time.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how to invest is the next question.
Yeah. So when it comes to investing, now it's all open. There's online options are available. Information is available.
Right.
There are many YouTube channels and all that thing is. It's exposure is there. I mean, all the information is available
Right,
about
right,
investment.
right.
But at times I'd seen people get confused
Yeah.
because so much of information available,
True.
and you really don't know where to start, what to do.
Right.
The new trends keeps coming. Like crypto was a trend
Right.
2 years, 3 years back, and now something else is coming up.
Right.
So people are really confused about investing.
Sure.
So it is better to take a guidance of a professional people,
Right.
like who are into industry, as in financial planners or
Right.
financial advisors who can guide people
Right.
on investments. We recommend goal-based investments. So the one ideally need to build a financial plan from day one. When you start a career, you build a financial plan.
Right.
And follow that financial plan and do the investment placement accordingly.
Right. Right. So, does health insurance get factored in the investment planning?
No, the health insurance is not an investment plan.
Okay.
It's in protection cover.
Sure.
It's in protection. It's in cover.
Sure.
So it is an important aspect. One need to have in health insurance. One need to also have in life insurance.
Right.
It's not an investment.
Okay.
You are buying an insurance policy. Let's say I go for a 10 lakh rupees of health insurance today. I pay some X thousand rupees yearly premium. The 10 lakh rupees give me a cover if I get hospitalized for whatever reason. That bill is covered under that policy.
Right.
So it's an investment. It's not an investment product or avenue. It is an insurance
Right.
product.
Right. So, it's kind of risk mitigation.
Risk mitigation.
Yeah.
Correct. Risk mitigation.
Right. Right. So, what happens if a investor at some point wants the money back due to some exigency? I mean, how does it take place?
So while planning the investment, we recommend to break these investments into 3 buckets. So we follow some 3 bucket strategy, where we suggest if you are investing, say, 90 rupees or 100 rupees today, you break it into 3 parts.
Okay.
Invest some money into short-term investments, like that for the emergency need. So we call it contingency fund.
Sure.
So one bucket is that emergency fund or contingency fund. Number 2 bucket is the medium-term investments,
Okay.
which the money which you need after 10 years,
Right.
15 years from now. That money can go into medium-term bucket.
Right.
And the third bucket is a long-term bucket where you can invest your money for your retirement or children's education like goals.
Sure.
So the investment need to be broken into these three buckets. The first bucket where we are talking about the liquidity part is invested into the first bucket.
Okay.
These investments are generally done into liquid funds or bank fixed deposits or money can be kept in a savings account.
Right.
This investment can be broken in 1 or 2 working days time.
Okay. Okay. Right. So, is there any tax on the investments done in India?
Yes, there is a tax on investment in India. There are very few avenues left now where there is no tax on the gains, like PPF investments done in PPF. There is no tax on the gain part.
Right.
Like I think only one investment left today which doesn't have any tax impact on the gains.
Right.
But otherwise, most of the investments are taxable.
Okay. Okay. So, if we have to classify between safe, high risk, and moderate kind of investments, can you throw some light on that?
Definitely. So as I was talking about the 3 buckets some time back.
Yeah.
So the first bucket I spoke about safer investments. So safer investments are where your capital is safe. The investment done, the capital is 100% safe. There's a fixed rate of returns which these investment products offers.
Sure.
So one is that. So there's zero risk
Okay.
of losing capital or even the interest rates are fixed.
Right.
Okay. The second avenue, that moderate investments which we are talking about, will have some part of equity-oriented investments.
Right.
So it could be probably in hybrid funds kind of product where the risk is little bit risk is there,
Okay.
but returns are definitely higher than the safe investments.
Okay. Okay.
And the third one is in high risk investments or an aggressive portfolio, we can
Okay.
speak, where we can have a higher investment allocation towards the equity-oriented investments.
Right. So, if we have to compare maybe a PPF and mutual funds, right? I think maybe the audience will be more interested to know the kind of return somebody will get, because PPF has been a safe mode for everybody,
Yeah.
right? And I think it has been more conventional now. So, if we have to give some kind of numbers or percentage so that it gives some guidance to the audience, will you want to share more about it?
Definitely. So PPF is definitely considered one of the best investment for many years now. And people invest into PPF because it's a government of India scheme.
Right.
The interest rates are fixed, or
Right.
there's a range of returns which their government is offering.
Right.
There's fluctuations are very limited.
Right.
But it's a 15-year account.
Yeah.
So if I open an PPF account today, I need to continue it for next 15 years.
Sure.
So in a way, it's a long-term investment plan.
Yeah.
It is not a short-term investment
Yeah.
plan. Versus if I invest the same amount into, let's say, mutual funds,
Right.
for example, and I put the money there for 15 years. So the rate of returns difference is quite high.
Sure.
So PPF is today offering roughly 7%
Yeah.
interest today,
That's my understanding.
right? Versus if you look at any large cap equity mutual fund, that is offering roughly in tune of 12% to 14% returns. Right.
Right.
So if you look at the difference of returns is roughly 5 to 7% per year.
Right.
So even if you look at 12% returns versus 7%, you are earning 5% per year
Sure.
more in mutual funds.
Right.
And that too for next 15 years. And if you see the compounding effect,
Right.
it will be quite huge.
Would you suggest, Hemantji, typically if you have a pensioner, right, will he or she, I mean, as a senior citizen, will they be the right, I think, candidates for investing in mutual funds?
Definitely. But we are speaking about these 3 categories: safe, moderate, and aggressive.
Right.
So this category of investors will fall into safe to moderate investment category,
Okay.
basically. So if somebody is retiring at the age of 60, for
Right.
example,
Right.
lifespan in India is now to be considered as roughly 80 to 85 years.
Yeah.
So you need to plan from age 60 to age 85.
Right.
It's again a quite 25-year long period.
Right.
So definitely investment in mutual funds will definitely help.
Right. Right.
Hmm?
But then don't you think even the contingency part will be more here? Because, maybe the kind of health part could be a factor
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So possibly the contingency will be larger there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe the portion you're getting for investments possibly could be reduced in case of senior citizens. I mean, that's my thought process.
Definitely. So what we look at when we plan for investment for senior citizens,
Right.
the asset allocation is more towards a moderate to safer side.
Right.
So we keep roughly 60 to 70% of the investments into safer investments, and where the liquidity is there, returns are also in a safe range.
Right.
They're also getting some monthly regular income out of it.
Right. Right.
So 70% money is roughly parked into these kind of investment
Sure.
to meet the contingency,
Sure.
to have regular monthly income,
Right.
and also have the safety on capital side.
Right.
The remaining 30% of investment mainly goes into equity oriented investment for appreciation.
Okay. Okay.
So if I look at a 5 year, every 5 year journey, the 25-year journey, if I make it 5 years, 5 year, 5 year, so the first 5 years you will see that money lying into an safer investments will be stagnant, or which will not grow much.
Right.
But the 30% investment done in equity will give some booster.
Sure.
So every 5 year you can see the capital is appreciating little bit.
Right. Right.
So this is how we plan investment for senior citizens.
Okay. Hemantji, if we take a case of an IT fresher who starts his career at age of 25 and plans to retire at age of 45, has currently a monthly expense of 50,000 rupees, how will you suggest approach to retirement planning? Okay, how does he need to actually approach this? Can you guide us on that?
Definitely. So it's in 20 years timeline what you're talking about.
Right.
The person at the age of 25 will
Right.
retire at 45. So you have 20 years in hand.
Right.
Let us look at the impact of inflation first.
Sure.
So his 50,000 per month cost of living today
Yeah.
will go to 2 lakh rupees per month by the age of 45,
Right.
considering 7% inflation.
Right.
So planning for the retirement is very important for him.
Sure.
If I look at the numbers, if I look at the calculators, he need to have 5.75 crores rupees of corpus
Okay.
for retirement at the age of 45.
Right.
With that corpus, he will be able to generate 2 lakh rupees per month income post-retirement to
Sure.
take care of his future retirement expenses.
Sure.
So to reach to the number of 5.75 crores, which is a target number for retirement, this person has to invest roughly 60,000 per month
Okay.
from now for next 20 years time.
Okay.
And he will be able to he will be able to secure his retirement.
Okay. Will that account for all the kind of factors he will go through his life phase of marriage, funds, maybe he will have his family, he'll have children, right? So all those expenses will come on during this phase. So does this planning account into all this?
We touch base only retirement now as we are speaking.
Sure.
Okay, but
Sure.
but the other financial goals like which we spoke about, the short term goals like getting married, then maybe buying a first house.
Right.
The children's coming into picture, the next generation comes up, their schooling starts, then their education,
Right.
children's education,
Right.
children's marriage, and somewhere 20 years down the line, this person will retire.
Right.
So in financial planning, we cover all these aspects.
Okay.
So the 60,000 per month what we spoke will only take care of his retirement corpus.
Okay. Okay.
For other goals, we need to do a financial planning,
Okay.
and then where we need to find out the real number for how much you need to save for the short-term goals like marriage or travel
Right.
or buying a house. In financial planning, everything gets covered properly.
Okay. Hemantji, we took the case of IT fresher where we actually mentioned some numbers that the individual starts his career at 25, has a retirement plan at age of 45, has a monthly expense of 50K and needs to invest 60K roughly to secure his retirement, right? So in your client base, have you actually seen any of these examples or cases which have actually been achieved or they have actually secured their retirement?
Yes, definitely. In the last 25 years, I'm into it, and we are managing this subject of personal finances and bringing discipline in personal finances and doing all this planning for our clients. And we did really have some case studies where we had achieved this number. If
Okay.
somebody followed what we said, followed the numbers, people had achieved or secured their retirement, achieved these numbers. We have families retiring at 43, 42, age of 42, because they started at 60,000 per month, maybe that time, but later the income went up.
Right.
So they also topped up the investments. So
Sure.
instead of this goal securing in 20 years' time, some of the families are able to secure the retirement goal in 17, 18 years' time also.
Nice.
So this is 100% possible
Okay. Okay.
with by having a discipline and having a professional guidance also.
Sure.
That is very important.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Hemant. Hemantji, what advice will you give to the younger generation to manage their personal finances?
Definitely. So the first and most important suggestion to them is to start early. We spoke about it.
Yes.
So from the first salary itself, they need to start investing at least 30% to 50% of the savings into savings. They need to start towards all these goals. They should definitely invest and participate into equity-oriented investment because they have a longer period of investment. The goals are longer for a longer period, so they should definitely invest some component of investments into equity-oriented investment. There are
Sure.
many avenues available. They should be little careful about the trends which are going on. As I can see the youngsters investing into cryptos or they're investing into FNOs and all that. Online investments are happening. There are many financial influencers there who give they have some YouTube channels and all that, and people get into it and they start doing that.
Right.
Basically, but I had seen many people lose money also there.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so Warren Buffett is one of the best example as and greatest investment in the world.
Right.
And Warren Buffett follow two rules, which I admire and which I always follow. The two rules which he follow. The rule number one, he says, "Ki never lose money."
Right.
So that is rule number one. Warren Buffett follow. Rule number two is never forget rule number one.
Right.
So the youngsters should definitely look at this rule of Warren Buffett and make sure that they don't lose capital by
Absolutely.
investing it in high risk investments or all this trend. They should first make sure that the capital is safe
Right.
and the money is growing.
Right.
So this advice I'll like to give it to the youngsters.
Right.
Okay.
Hemantji, thanks for your valuable time.